We got these games coming up. Mike, this one is for all of the marbles. Who do we start at quarterback?
You were just talking up Bo Nix. I think you start him this week because, look, you see he was QB9 on the year, but if you get rid of his first month, from week 5 on, he's averaged just under 20 fantasy points per game. That would make him the QB6 on this season. It is a good matchup as the Bengals top 7 in passing yards and touchdowns allowed. But this week, it's basically a playoff game for both of these teams. So I expect them to be aggressive. And you have Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins on the other side. Bo Nix might have to throw a whole bunch just to keep up with that offense.
Yeah, we've seen Sean Payton be very conservative with Russell Wilson. He has not tried to hide Bo Nix at all. Even in bad games, he's still airing it out. But who are we not having throw anything because we're putting on the bench this week?
I'm looking to get away from Gino Smith this week, and that's something I've been doing a lot this season. And look, last week, first time cracking 20 fantasy points since week 9, but he has just 18 or more fantasy points in 4 games this season, so the upside is really not that high. It is a tough matchup. Bears, 4th fewest touchdowns, 3rd fewest fantasy points per game allowed to quarterbacks. And then on top of it all, it is a road game on a short week in cold Chicago. That is not really a recipe for fantasy success.
Well, we do want recipes. Let's go over to a successful fantasy recipe at running back. Who's going in our lineup?
Start Bucky Irving, because why would you not? 13 or more fantasy points in 5 of his last 6 games, over 17 in 4 of those. And then Panthers. Not only have they allowed over 350 more rushing yards to running backs than any other team in the league, they've also allowed the most rushing touchdowns, most fantasy points. And a couple weeks ago when they played each other, Bucky went for over 180 yards, a touchdown, and scored 28 fantasy points. So yeah, start him.
Yeah, James Conner almost had an RB1 performance on 15 carries against this Panthers team a week ago. Let's look over to a running back that's going on the bench, though.
I'm still daydreaming about what could have been from James Conner, but I'm sitting Travis Etienne, who I started in a league last week thinking, all right, maybe he's starting to take over this backfield again. Nope. He got out-touched and out-produced by Tank Bigsby once again, who also scored a touchdown. Etienne has averaged under 8 fantasy points per game since he's returned from injury. He had just 11 when he played the Titans earlier this year. So just far too much risk to tie your fantasy championship hopes to Travis Etienne.
Whose hopes can we pin on wide receiver this week to win a title?
Your boy. You've been riding with Devonte Adams all year. And look, Aaron Rodgers might not help the Jets win games, but he has made Devonte Adams elite again. 11 or more targets in 4 straight in 6 of his last 7. Since their bye a month ago, Adams is averaging just under 27 fantasy points per game. And then the Bills, 3rd most yards to slot receivers. And I don't think people have realized this enough. Devonte Adams, team high, almost 50% of his routes have come from the slot since he's joined the Jets.
Well, yeah, things have been great, other than the other things. But also happy 32nd birthday, Devonte Adams. Who does sit?
Don't call me a homer because I'm getting far, far away from Amari Cooper this week. In his last 2 games combined, 2 targets, 1 catch, 10 yards. He has been 4th amongst Bills wide receivers in snaps. He's playing behind Mac Hollins, behind Keon Coleman. The Bills did come out and say, we're not trying to show too much of our offense before the playoffs. Maybe that explains the lack of usage for Amari Cooper, but no way can you start him with the fantasy title on the line. And if you want more starts and sits, I'll have some on Thursday.